to Southern Girl Cooks. Today we are going to be making fried empanadas. Guys, if you've never had a fried empanada, you are in for a flaky pastry treat. And so what a fried empanada is filled with meat. Now, I typically fill mine with ground beef, but if you want to do a different type of meat, or maybe you want to do some veggie crumbles, that's totally up to you. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. The first thing that I have here is I've got some all-purpose flour. No, you cannot use self-rising flour. You need to use all-purpose flour. And I've got some salt in here, just some table salt. You don't need to go out and get kosher salt or anything like that. Just table salt is fine. I'm going to just whisk those two ingredients together. Now, this pastry or this dough that we're creating, we're going to be using it for empanadas today, but you can save the recipe. Maybe one day you want to do maybe a flaky treat and you want to add maybe some apple filling in it, or you want to add some peach filling in it. Do what you want to do with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this mixed in good. So the next thing I have is I've got some unsalted butter. If you have salted butter, that's fine. I've made it both ways and it doesn't make a difference, okay, in the taste of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this butter in. Now, you can cut the butter in using a fork. You can cut it in using the whisk if you want. I've got some gloves here because I like to cut it in using my hands, okay? And it does get a bit messy. And then the last thing we have is we have some water, and we're going to add the water in just a little bit at a time because we want to make sure that we're forming a nice ball. Now, after we form the ball, we're going to wrap it with plastic wrap, and we're going to put it in our refrigerator for about an hour. And then we're going to go to the next step, and that's making the filling. So I'm just gonna mix this in, cut it in, crumble it in. I hope this video is finding you guys well. Guys, we are over 30,000 subscribers. I want to thank you for your support. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Southern Girl Cooks. If you are a returning member, we appreciate you guys so much. Guys, please comment down below where you're tuning in from. Also, if there's something that you want to see us create here on this channel, please comment down below. Guys, don't forget to smash that like button. And guys, always hit that bell notification. And that way, every time I upload a new video, you're amongst the first to know. So again, we appreciate your support. You'll also find in the description box, along with the directions and the ingredients on how to create this meal, you'll also see the super thanks. So you don't feel like you have to do that. But if you want to support the channel and help us keep the lights on, you certainly can hit that super thanks. And it's just a little cash donation that comes our way, okay? So what you're going to have with this mixture is you're going to be creating some crumbles, and take your time with it, guys. It doesn't take a lot of time to do it, but you do want to make sure that you have your butter mixed in evenly with your flour. What kind of flour? All-purpose flour. Please don't use self-rising flour. I like to just roll it in my hands a little bit just to make sure that everything is evenly distributed. I think that was my southern twang coming through when I said distributed. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna start to introduce our water. You're gonna introduce this water in about a tablespoon or two at a time, okay? Get it mixed in and add a little bit more. And what you're gonna have at the end is just a nice ball of flour, your mixture, okay? Of dough. If you have an empanada recipe or maybe some different fillings than what you'll see presented in the video, please comment down below. I'm interested to know how you guys create yours. I'm going to have some surprises in mind that you probably wouldn't really put in yours, but don't knock it till you try it. The other thing is that there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Some of the ingredients you can omit. You know, you don't have to always add all the ingredients that I add. If it's, for example, if I'm putting eggs in something and you don't like eggs, unless it's maybe a baked dish, but maybe I'm making a salad and I'm putting eggs in mine and you don't like eggs in yours, don't feel like you have to do that, okay? I always tell you to make the recipe your own. So now that we have our dough starting to crumble, again, we're gonna just slowly add in the water, mix well. We're almost there. A couple of dry spots, just add a little bit of water. And when you get to the end and you only have just a couple of dry spots, you don't even need to put in a full tablespoon. Maybe you put in a teaspoon, or maybe you put in a half a teaspoon, okay? The last thing you want to do is put too much water in and have to start over. But you want to have a smooth consistency. You want to have a dough consistency. You don't want it to be too dry in different spots. And so that's why I'm continuing to work it through, okay? Maybe just a little more water. And what you're looking for, if you've ever bought those pre-refrigerated, pre-made pie dough, I think pie shell, pie crust, that's the consistency that you're looking for with this. All right, I'm gonna move this out of the way and give myself a little more room to work with on my counter. Just making sure that I have all my moisture evenly distributed. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, that'll work. So we're just gonna grab just some regular old plastic wrap. We're gonna wrap our dough in the plastic wrap. I have freakishly small hands, so even these medium gloves are drowning my hands. Okay. I'm gonna stick this in the refrigerator for 1 hour. So now that we have our dough in the refrigerator chilling for the hour, the next thing that we're going to do is we've got our ingredients here. We're gonna go ahead and cook our filling and get ready to stuff everything and get it frying, okay? So I've got a little bit of olive oil in my pan. I'm using ground beef, but like I said before, if there's a meat that you prefer, certainly use that. And let me know if you use something different, how it turns out for you, okay? So I am going to increase the heat on my fryer. I've got some beautiful diced onions. I'm using a yellow onion, but if you have a white onion, you can certainly use that. I've never used a red onion. Just understand that if you use the red onion, it's a little bit stronger in flavor than this is, but that doesn't mean that you can't use it. I just like for you to know what's in store, what you're getting into. Okay. And you just want to make sure that you're breaking up your ground beef into crumbles. And that way, once we throw in our beautiful seasonings, we're not quite there yet. Of course, we're going to cook this and drain off the oil. But once we throw in our seasonings, then each part of the meat will be seasoned properly because you've broken it all up into little crumbles. You want to do about a medium heat. You don't want to go too high on it because you don't want to burn everything. You don't want to have some pieces that are burned and the other pieces that aren't quite cooked yet. And if you don't like onion, don't use onion. It's okay. Make the recipe your own. I just like to give you the information and you can kind of tweak it to your likings. That's fine to do that. So I'm just keeping the ground beef moving in the pan, mostly because I want to make sure that I'm breaking it up into smaller pieces. Guys, if you haven't already, we have a ton of videos on the channel, and we also have many, many more coming. We've been doing a lot of work to bring you guys some valuable content. Like I always say, if there's something, I believe I've said it already on this recipe video, but if there's something you want to see us make, please comment down below, and my team always looks through the comments and creates a nice list of items. In fact, this was a requested video, okay? And you're gonna cook this until you don't see any more pink. And also until your onion is pretty translucent. You wanna make sure that your onion is tender, or whatever veggie that you're going to put in yours. All right, that's pretty crumbled up. And I'm just gonna let this cook for just a couple more minutes, just so that some of the larger pieces of onion have become tender. Looks like we don't need a couple minutes. This hot plate is wonderful. It does cook pretty fast. Okay guys, so we browned our ground beef with onion, and I have placed the ground beef in my colander and allowed the oil to run off, or to drain. So we're just gonna reintroduce the ground beef back into our frying pan. Make sure you get all those beautiful veggies out of there. Okay. So now we've got our seasoning. I've got some black pepper, some paprika, smoked paprika. I've got some cumin, and I've got a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna put all of those ingredients in. Okay. I'm gonna increase my temperature a little bit. Like I said, we're using about a medium high heat. Oh, that smells scrumptious. Okay. I've got just some white vinegar. I've got a surprise ingredient. Like I said, don't knock it till you try it, guys. Here's a surprise. It's raisins. I know. But guys, it is so good, because what happens is it adds just a little bit of sweetness to it. I have one more ingredient that I'm going to introduce in just a little bit later. So what we're going to do with this is we are going to just let it simmer for about another couple of minutes. We're going to stick it in a dish, put it in the refrigerator, and let it cool down, okay? Or maybe you're making this ahead of time, and you can certainly make your filling ahead of time, just like you're doing with your dough. You need to just cool it down until it's cold, okay? And that just depends on the temperature of your refrigerator. Okay, guys, so it's been an hour. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our dough that we just created, and we're gonna form it into about 15 to 20 smaller balls, okay? And what we're going to be doing is we're going to take our rolling pin and we're going to flatten them out once we get them formed. You wanna try to get them around the same size of each other, but don't fret too much if one is bigger than the other one, okay? I'm probably making these too big, but that's okay. I can always adjust at the end, no big deal. We're not sweating the small stuff on this channel, okay? That one's definitely too big. So we came out with about 18 of them, and this one is tiny, so of course we're gonna take some from another one and add to this one. So like I said, you just wanna try to get them around the same size. And you want to try to make the ball as tight as you possibly can get it. But if it's not super tight, don't worry about it, because you will be using the rolling pin. We've already brought our meat out of the refrigerator as well. And the surprise ingredients that I have is hard-boiled eggs. Now, if you don't want to use the hard-boiled eggs, much like the raisins, you don't have to do that. But it is a nice little treat, little surprise. So what I've done is, with the meat that I have, I've divvied it up into two different portions. One that I'm gonna add some egg to, and the other one that will not have egg. You may use both hands to at least get them mixed in. before you start to roll them. Guys, we are almost to the finish line. We're gonna just roll these out. Like I said, continue the rolling process. Then we are going to flatten them out into little circles on our floured surface. We're gonna add our filling to it, and then we're gonna fry it at about between 350 to 365 degrees in our fryer. So we've got our floured surface. We're gonna just go ahead and start to flatten our circles out and roll. You're gonna roll them thin, less than about a 1/4 inch thin, because what you're going to be doing is you're gonna put the filling on the inside and you're gonna fold it over. So as circular as you can get it. It just looks good for presentation, but don't worry about it if it's not perfect. If it's not a perfect circle, please don't sweat that. Now, you can create these. You can make them ahead of time, so you can make them and fill them, freeze them, and then just pull them out when you guys want a snack or you want to make this part of your meal. Maybe a nice appetizer. Okay, so now we have gotten our dough, like I said, out of the refrigerator. I've brought in my rolling pin. I've floured my surface, which I've said that a couple of times. And so what I'm doing now is I am just rolling the dough out. I've already done many of them, but I did want to include you in the process so you know exactly what to do. And you're just gonna roll them thin. We're almost done with this recipe, guys. And if you feel like maybe you got them too thin, it's okay. Just roll them up again and then start over. No biggie. And I think we ended up with about 18. So that's enough for a family, a nice appetizer or meal, depending on what you want to do. Okay, now I've got the egg and I've got some of the ground beef mixture, and I'm just going to put a little bit of egg in here. Not a whole lot. I do love eggs though, but I'm not the only one eating this. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring our shells in, and we are going to just plop some of the meat into the shell, and we're gonna fold it over and get it ready for frying. Okay, you're just gonna press it in with your fingers. If you have an issue with it pressing together, just grab you a little bowl with a little bit of water in it and just wet your fingers, and that'll help you to press it in. And we are just going to continue this process until we have filled all of our shells or all of our dough. It's gonna be a shell, if you will, eventually. And you may just want to remember, especially if you have a picky family, you just may want to remember which filling that you're using. So again, this one has egg in it. So I'm gonna separate it to the side from the other ones, okay? And that way I know what I am serving. So when you're done, you should have something that looks like this, kind of like a crescent shape or a semicircle. And I'm just gonna repeat this process until I have them all filled. Okay guys, so I went ahead and filled all of the little pastries with the meat. So the last thing that I did though, I went ahead just to give it a nice presentation. I went ahead with a fork and just went around just for presentation. Looks pretty. So what I'm gonna do now is I've got my oil hot. I'm gonna just drop them in the oil. And I would say don't fry more than maybe, depending on the size of your pot, more than 2 or 3 at a time. And we're gonna fry them for about 2.5 minutes each side, or until it's golden brown. And as you can see, my thermometer is close. I always use this, and that way I can make sure that I have the correct temperature. And they float, and so you really don't have to do anything to them. You'll check them, every now and then, maybe after a minute, maybe after 2 minutes, just to see if they're brown enough such that you can turn them over. And guys, we are almost at the end of this video. What I'm going to do though is we're gonna do a taste test at the end, and we're gonna make sure that we're trying, hopefully, both the one with the egg and one without. I think I put them in the right spot. Don't shoot me if I didn't. So you probably could go maybe 28 or 30 little balls and roll them out if these are a little too big for your liking. I'm gonna go ahead and toss them around, turn them over. Oh, look at that beautiful golden brown color. And remember that inside the meat and everything is already cooked. So really what your focus is right now is just to fry and brown the crust that you've created. I'm gonna use this same, I've lined my pan with paper towel. So I'm going to use this same dish pan to put the finished product on. So I'm just going to continue frying all of these, and I'll see you in a moment when it's time to do our taste test. Okay guys, we finished frying our empanadas, so now it's time for us to taste them. Remember, we did 2 different variations, one with raisin and egg and one with raisin and no egg. This is the one that has egg in it. Guys, that is so, the crust is really light and flaky. That is really tasty. And like I told you before, you can use this crust, this pastry shell for other things. Maybe you want to add some fruit in it and fry that. A pie filling, apple or peach. That's so tasty. This is the one without egg. Guys, look what we did today. Today we made fried empanadas. Guys, as always, thank you for watching Southern Girl Cook. I will see you in my next recipe video. If you've not gotten the opportunity, please check out some of the other videos that we have on the channel. We've got some wonderful things on there. See you next time.